And welcome into another week of Citadel Gray Line, the once a week program that we get together and talk about Bulldog sports and more. John Rawl is my name. Good to have you on board this all dog show, powered in part by IPS Packaging. You see the banner across the top there. They do a fantastic job bringing this show and supporting Citadel athletics in so many ways. Andrew Miller is on board in a second, as well as Thomas Scruggs. We're going to look back at the loss to the Furman Paladins from this last week, a very, very heartbreaking loss, a loss in which the Citadel led in the fourth quarter, and somehow in the closing moments, Furman found a way to win that ball game. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the road trip ahead. We've got some clips, by the way, of that Furman loss to show you all. I want to let you know, of course, that the Citadel Gray Line wouldn't happen without our great sponsors, and our sponsors for this year include Hood Construction. HoodConstruction.com is the website. For more than 38 years, Hood Construction has been working hard to build projects across not only South Carolina, but North Carolina, Georgia. Check it out. HoodConstruction.com is the website where you can go see their great projects involved in the states of South Carolina, North Carolina, and more. They take a holistic approach to their clients' business and project objectives in order to find the best value solutions. Hood Construction, again, go to the website and see the many projects they are involved in multiple states. Andrew Miller is with the Charleston Post and Courier. Hello, Andrew. Welcome into Citadel Gray Line. We are good. We are good. Tough one for the Dogs last week at Johnson Hagood.
3.5 quarters, I thought. Up 63 midway through the fourth quarter. You really thought that they were going to kind of pull this one out. Furman was not able to move the ball any at all up until really midway through the fourth quarter. I mean, the Bulldogs defense had 5 sacks and I think 4 more tackles for loss. So I think almost double digits in tackles for loss and negative plays, which is huge. They forced turnover. They really did a good job. The only unfortunate thing was that they weren't able to capitalize on some of the opportunities that they had offensively, and that's really been kind of the big Achilles heel for them. I mean, Coach Drayton has talked about finishing games and playing better in the fourth quarter, and certainly that's a part of it, but your offense has to score points when they have the opportunity. They had several opportunities to put more points on the board. Missed field goal here and there. I thought missed opportunities on a couple of third and fourth down situations, and they weren't able to put the ball in the end zone, and that ended up being the difference in the game. And then when Furman went to their kind of no huddle, quick up tempo offense, the Bulldogs really didn't respond defensively as well as I thought they could have and should have. But definitely that's one that I know that Maurice Drayton, he considers Furman their number one rival. And that's one he's very disappointed in that they didn't get the W, because they certainly played well enough for 45 minutes, 50 minutes of the game to win that game.
True that. Thomas Scruggs is on with us. Thomas, is FU the Citadel's arch rival?
Good afternoon, John. Yeah, that one's hard to stomach there. Like Andrew said, we dominated the game for 3.5 quarters. I've heard comments from others that our offense played vanilla. I'm not sure about that overturn fumble. Whether it was his arm going forward, but that's not the difference in the game. Bottom line is, now we got to learn how to finish a game when we're ahead, and that's a new position for us to be in. So definitely hate that happened against Furman at home. But we got to move on. We got to go to Western North Carolina, where we're going to play this week with no fans in the stands.
That may not be true. That may not be true.
No. There will be.
Oh, they changed that?
Yes, there will be fans in the stands. That was announced by Western Carolina yesterday. So,
oh wow, okay, sorry, I did not see that. Okay,
yeah, I think it was last night actually that they did it. So they will have fans there. But yeah, the overturned call, that something I brought up in the press conference with Coach Drayton. They sent film. They sent it to the league office. The head of all the officials is actually sitting beside me in the press box at the game. And I asked him about that, and he said that was a judge. Like he was looking at the replay, and he's like, "That's really a judgment call. You can make an argument either way, but for them to rule it that it was a fumble and then a touchdown, and then overrule that with the video evidence, I thought was, that wasn't right. That was not the right call. If again, what's ruled on the field, that's the call, and then there's got to be enough video evidence to overturn it, and I didn't think there was. And again, Coach Drayton pointed out that if you look at Hedden, the quarterback for Furman, he's down on the ground, he's distraught because he knows he's probably just lost the game for his team. And when a player reacts like that, he probably knows that was not a forward pass, that his arm was not going forward, that was a fumble. So, if that's the score, you know what? They win. They win the game. There's no doubt they're going to win the game. But the thing to me that I liked about Coach Drayton's response was, hey, okay, that happened, but we didn't stop him, and we needed to stop him, and we didn't do that. And I think that's the mark of a program that truly doesn't want moral victories. They want to win games, and that starts with him, and that was his attitude from the very beginning. Like he said, I argued it as much as I could. And then, after they make the decision, there's nothing you can do. Turn the page. Let's go to the next play.
So here we are. We're 0-3 in SoCon. We had two away games upcoming at Western and at VMI. I don't know what Western has. I haven't done a lot of research on them. I know what VMI has. I really hope we can go up there and get a win. I'm not sure about this weekend though.
Yeah, they certainly got Gonzalez, who's the best quarterback, offensive player of the year at Western Carolina, got a good running back. This is going to be an offensive team, and one of the things that I've really liked about the Bulldogs this year is that they've been pretty consistent defensively the entire season. I think Raleigh Jackson has done a really good job. He's making teams earn it, and they've able to dial up pressure and get into the backfield and create negative plays. So to me, this is more of a matchup between how the Citadel's defense is going to match up with the Western Carolina offense, and then the Citadel's offense. Again, you just got to score when you get those opportunities, and thus far they have not shown that on a consistent enough basis, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to talk more before we move on to Western Carolina in a second here on the Citadel Gray Line. Here, we invite you to text us here. We have our number that you can text in on 843-779-8496. You can text us anytime on that number. Of course, for those of you catching us on the Facebook Live broadcast, feel free to throw in your comments right now while we're up with Thomas and Andrew on Citadel Gray Line. We couldn't do this show without our many great sponsors, and one of our sponsors back for this year of Citadel Gray Line is Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about this Midlands of South Carolina-based company, as they have a number you can call, 803-281-2974. They've got a 24-hour emergency service available Monday through Thursday, and they offer a full-service plumbing, gas, drain, and sewer company. The 24-hour, again, emergency service available Monday to Thursday. They've got a $250, actually, a sewer replacement coupon, or in some places in the South, they call them coupons. But they've got this available for you. Sewer replacement, $250 off coupon at Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning in the Midlands of South Carolina. Check them out. You can go to the website franklinplumbing.sc.com and learn more about this Citadel-led company. Thank you, Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, for your great support of Citadel Gray Line. Let's take a moment here before we get back to seeing the beautiful faces of Thomas and Andrew to show you some of the action from Johnson Hagood Stadium this past weekend as the Dogs were up and going against Furman. And I'll just roll footage here. The Citadel getting off early with a field goal, as you can see on the screen there. Things were looking pretty darn good for the Dogs in the Furman contest. The momentum, Andrew, seemed to certainly be on the Citadel side.
Yeah, certainly early on, they had 3 and outs, I believe, to start the game defensively, able to put some points on the board early, got off to a great start. Even the middle eight, which had been kind of an Achilles heel for the Bulldogs here a couple of weeks, that was minimized. I mean, they didn't give up any 20 points. They didn't give up any points either. It was just really finishing the game in the fourth quarter and playing with a lead. And when you're a program that's trying to figure out how to win, and yes, that is a process. That's a learned skill. Until they figure that out, they're going to be games like this, and it's going to be frustrating to the Citadel fans. But hey, we're a year and a half into Maurice Drayton's tenure here at the Citadel, and I look at the improvement that this team has made from last year to this year, and again, it's like night and day. But he is. I believe him every time he says it. He's building a program. He's not trying to build a season, and I think he's doing it the right way. We just got to be patient. Again, the team is so much better than it was last year, and I think they're going to continue to improve and go on that upward trajectory.
Andrew, we saw some good defensive plays, like sacks near the goal line in this game. Your thoughts on that?
The defensive line is again done a really good job. Thomas Wyatt has just been, and he's just been all over the field this entire season. I think he's been their best player all season long. Had a sack, and I think he led him with 7 tackles against Furman. Raleigh Jackson a little bit more comfortable with some of his coverages in the secondary, so he's kind of allowing or he's dialing up a few more blitzes and a few more pressure packages, and they've been really effective this year. They've been able to get pressure on the quarterback pretty consistently, unlike last year. It just seemed like opposing quarterbacks all day to throw back there.
Yeah. And then we saw as much as we brag on the defense most of this game, in that last couple of minutes there, just couldn't get the stops there to keep Furman from taking the lead.
Yeah, when they went to that hurry-up offense, I don't think the Citadel responded like they should have, and that was disappointing to Coach Drayton and I'm sure to Coach Jackson.
Yeah. Citadel ends up having that large fourth-quarter lead, and it evaporates there with 1:01 left in the ballgame. Furman escapes victorious over the Citadel Bulldogs at Johnson Hagood Stadium. Again, you can reach if you have something you want to let know Andrew's way. You can reach him at APMiller_PNC. That's how you can get in touch with him anytime at the Post and Courier. That's his X account at APMiller_PNC is the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week way to get in touch with Andrew Miller. Let me do one housekeeping note. Last week we started this show talking about, unfortunately, Mother Nature. And before we go too far forward, I do want to keep our friends in Florida in mind because they're about to get hit by this newest storm. And we might have a lot of people from Central Florida come into the low country and more to escape the latest storm heading that way. But our thoughts are certainly with our friends in the Sunshine State here this week. Okay, so any other final things, I guess a nail in the coffin from the Furman loss that either one of you want to point out here before we move forward?
Yeah, one thing I was going to bring up is that the Citadel's going to bring up some supplies to the people in Western North Carolina. They're doing a drop-off for things like diapers and formula and water, and everybody who's been through a hurricane here in South Carolina kind of knows what you need when you're trying to recover. But they're doing a donation drive. You can donate. You can drop stuff off at the Altman Center up until 5:00 on Thursday.
All right, very good point there. Thomas, are you still digging through the limbs and more where you live?
I'm sorry, John. I couldn't hear that. Oh, we've recovered. We've still got some damaged fencing to deal with, but in comparison to what people in the upstate and Western North Carolina are going through, that's nothing.
If this storm had not been coming through?
No, I think it's kind of business as usual now. I haven't heard any travel alterations to their plans. I am going to go by practice today, so I was going to ask him about that. That's one thing I was going to ask him about. But when I talked to the people up at Western Carolina, they seem to think that the normal roads that we would use to go up there, 26, 40, and then getting off, I think, on 74, all those roads are open up to Cullowhee. So sounds like everything is, as far as traveling up there, is going to be okay.
All right. Good news. And again, as we mentioned, you can attend this game if you're a fan. Let's switch over real quick to talk a little, if you don't mind, gentlemen, a little knob knowledge. Knob knowledge powered in part by seniorprivate.com. We did not have a winner to last week's question, and that's very unfortunate. We had a very good knob knowledge question last week that was, while we affectionately used Bulldogs as the mascot at the Citadel, there was a time back in the 1930s that the teams were called something else. What was that name? We did not have any correct guesses. Thomas, take a guess.
Okay. The Cadets?
That's a good one, but that's not correct. Andrew, you want to take a guess?
No. I don't know. No, I have no idea.
Well, I'm glad you guys aren't on any kind of trivia or game shows anytime soon. The answer is the Light Brigade. From 1938 to 1941, that was the nickname of the Citadel athletic teams, as there was a movement to change from Bulldogs to Light Brigade, as one backer, a News and Courier reporter, that would be Andrew's forefathers there, James Harper Jr., stated in a column once that was the Bulldog nickname, the first thing you think of is rabies and the health department. And this is from the Citadel Sports Arsenal. Sandliper Spike does a great job. He tells us that on September the 10th of 1938, the News and Courier's news sports editor R.M. Hitt Jr. noted in his weekly column that Citadel authorities have abandoned the name of Bulldogs in favor of Light Brigade when referring to the football team. And in the 1938 Blue Book of College Athletics, Light Brigade is the only nickname given for Citadel teams. The team would actually go back to the name Bulldogs in 1942. So all I can say is go you Harry.
Oops,
Light
that was
Brigade.
my fault. That was my
Yes,
fault.
Thomas, what do you think of that name, Light Brigade? He's speechless. Okay. Okay. What did you think of the name Light Brigade is what I asked. Thomas. Okay. He's still speechless. So, here is this week's knob knowledge question. And the question this week is, and we've got a really neat prize, a big red license plate and sticker for the lucky winner. Since 1972, the Citadel has played Western Carolina in one of three cities for football games: Charleston, South Carolina, Cullowhee, North Carolina, and what other city? 3 cities have hosted the Bulldogs and Catamounts. And if you can be the first person to correctly text us at 843-779-8496, you will get a big red license plate and sticker from seniorprivate.com. Some great prizes. Thomas, I don't need an answer because we're trying to give this thing away, but do you know the answer?
I do not, John. No clue.
Okay, no clue. All right. Well, we hope that somebody out there knows the answer to this, because we want to give away this week to a winner and not you losers who can't correctly guess it. Again, text it to 843-779-8496. Thank you to seniorprivate.com for offering this to us. All right. It's a tough challenge going up to Western Carolina. What did Western Carolina do last week, Andrew?
They beat Wofford.
All right.
21-17.
So they seem to be getting past Helene okay.
Yeah, the key for the Bulldogs is going to be trying to stop quarterback Cole Gonzalez, the preseason Southern Conference Offensive Player of the Year. Slowing him down, he's averaging 270 yards a game of total offense. So kind of getting him under control is going to be the key for the Bulldogs here. And then I think kind of what they did, 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, when Grayson Underwood went up there and just kind of controlled the line of scrimmage, and they were able to run the ball down Western Carolina's throats. I mean, I think that's something that that Coach Drayton is hoping that the offense can do, is control the clock, run the ball, and then finish off drives with touchdowns instead of field goals. So I think those are kind of the keys to the game. They've been kind of the keys the entire year for the Citadel, but stopping Cole Gonzalez, the quarterback, is definitely priority number one.
And how's the Citadel, now that we're, I guess, more than halfway through the season, how is the Citadel doing health-wise, Andrew?
There haven't been any major injuries to key guys as far as I know. And it's been, you're right, I've been kind of surprised at the lack of injuries, for lack of a better word. And that's good news for the Bulldogs, because it doesn't seem like any significant players missed any significant amount of time this year.
All right. And I think something was circulating the other day that I wanted to get Thomas's take on. It was kind of comparing what Citadel sports is now compared to when I looked closer into it. We've been struggling for a while. Thomas, what exactly?
This is hilarious.
Okay, sorry, Thomas. Can you hear me?
My son.
Yeah. All right, Thomas, you are behind the times, and we lost you. Are you there now, sir? You should be.
John?
Yes.
Yep.
I believe the storm is still affecting us. Thomas.
Yes, John.
Yes. Okay. Finally. You sent me something over the weekend that I thought was from current times, but it was actually from years past, of some of the same problems the Citadel's got now to back then. Please rehash that if you don't mind.
So I was just doing some research on a Sunday night for our Wednesday Citadel Gray Line.
Impressive.
Looking for a promotion here on the show. No, I just casually looking. I was trying to see our current roster. We've got about 14 non-cadet athletes, out of a roster of 105 maybe. So that's not a very large percentage, but then you start looking at, okay, out of those 14, who actually starts? And there's a large percentage of those. So I happen to find something from Sandlapper Spike. Way back in 2010, alumni were complaining about this issue. So this is nothing new, but that article is 14 years old. Of course, he was very fair in his dealing with the subject, I thought. He showed both sides of it. At the end, he told us, look, I support, cadets going through a shared experience, representing us on the field. But he also said, look, if somebody's going to put on the uniform of a Citadel, they're a good person. I'm going to pull for them as well. So I thought it was a very good, well-written article. And not everybody that posts on social media is as gracious as Sandlapper Spike was, or as you and I sometimes are, John, or are not, when talking about this subject that keeps coming up. And it's like Andrew said before, we've had non-cadet athletes for a long time now. I think because we have social media now, there's just a spotlight on it. You got people posting just to get a comment or a response. So I feel like, I'm torn over just like you are. Like, I don't want to see a bunch of starters and with no cadets. My VMI buddies, they're giving me a hard time right now. They're saying, well, of course you're going to beat us next week because you get to have transfers that aren't in the Corps of Cadets. So, like I said, it's still a conversation. It's not anything that's going to be solved anytime soon. So, but I thought it was just neat to see that just randomly pop up in an article that's 14 years old.
And again, he sent this to me on a Sunday evening. Everything at home okay?
Yeah, everything at home's great, John. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just, most people probably aren't sitting around thinking about Citadel football on a Sunday night, at least. Save that for Saturdays.
Well, the true fans, us true fans are, John. I don't know what you're doing, in your home on a Sunday night, but, I'm looking at Citadel football boards.
Okay, well, good for you. I hope that works out well. All right, well, Andrew has given us kind of his keys to victory for the game this weekend. We're going to wrap this show up in just a second, but first let me tell everybody about our great partner here. It's IPS Packaging, and they are cheering for the Dogs. They do a great job on and off the field of cheering the Bulldogs. And I say on, they actually have signage at Johnson Hagood Stadium. If you haven't looked around, check that out. IPS is a family-owned and operated powerhouse, been in the business since 1976. With more than 4 decades in the game, they stand tall as a leader in packaging products, automation equipment, and top-notch service. A Bulldog-led, or should I say Lightning Brigade-led business, IPS Packaging and Automation does a great job in the packaging processes of countless businesses and manufacturing facilities across the United States. Again, a proud sponsor of Citadel Greyline for more than a decade, and they've been sponsoring Citadel Athletics for more than that. Go to the website ipack.com and discover what they can do for you, or call them at 800-277-7007. IPS Packaging and Automation, a proud supporter of Citadel Athletics. And now a word from IPS Packaging. All right, outstanding information. iPack.com is the website, and I happened to be in a factory just a few days back, and I mentioned, because they did a lot of shipping, I said, have y'all heard of IPS Packaging? And they said, oh, yeah. And I think they might even been one of their customers. We appreciate IPS Packaging for all they do. Okay, gentlemen, we're going to wrap things up here this week. Anything non-football that we should know about from the 843, Andrew?
Just everybody going up to safe travel to you. I think all the roads are going to be open. The normal road 2640, but be careful.
All right, and anything Bulldog basketball wise we should know about from you?
Well, I know the Knicks have left town. They left town last weekend. The Citadel's got a scrimmage here coming up. Close scrimmage that's coming up this week. So we'll see how things go in that.
All right. Well, we've had some slight technical problems today. I appreciate everybody going through this and treading water, including Thomas and Andrew. We'll be back full steam ahead next week. Thank you for all. Andrew, Thomas, both of you have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
All right. And all of you, again, if you're traveling, travel safe to WCU. We'll see you back here next week for another edition of Citadel Greyline.